My panel's back with me. David, there's been talk on Capitol Hill by Republicans that maybe the tax bill, in light of what happened yesterday, the tax bill should maybe be rewritten just to change it to make it more beneficial to the middle class. What do you think?
Well, so I've not seen the entire bill and digested it, right? So there's lots of concerns. Obviously, you have to educate people on raising their standard deduction. Really takes care of lots of folks, and that itemization isn't as big a deal, and you lose your homeowner tax credit because you get a bigger deduction. A lot of education has to take place. I'm not sure they have enough time to do that, right? We have the December 9th comes up. Let's not forget the CR runs out. We get fiscal cliff, DACA reform. There's lots of things that are going to have to happen before the end of the year. Republicans are kind of in a squeeze, and yet you're trying to pass this really complex tax bill. It becomes very, very challenging.
Amanda, the estate tax, the elimination of the estate tax, which benefits really the very, very, very wealthy. Does that make it difficult to sell this plan?
I don't think so. The way I've seen it explained, I think it does need to be messaged better, is that there's essentially two tracks. There is a middle class tax cut coming, and then they're also going to do a lot for business. And I think estate taxes, family farms typically falls under that business type of bracket. And so the big thing that they really need to do a better job explaining is that yes, a lot of these deductions are going to go away, but the big bet is that if we double the standard deduction, that will make up for it. In the middle income family, that I think you'll see touted a lot. Family of four, $59,000 a year will get about $1,200 a year back.
Hey, we have the bill. There are winners and losers. People between $20,000 and $40,000. It's a lot of people who voted for Trump, struggling in the country. They see, on average, a tax increase. What's weird about this bill is they have corporate tax cuts that go in for 10 years.
Goes from 35% to 20%. That's the corporate tax rate. Yeah.
Yes, and then, but for the middle class tax cuts, a lot of the middle class tax cuts, the deductions, they phase out after 5 years. So that's a big question. Why do you have phase outs for people who are working and no phase out for corporations? This bill is incredibly unfair. It increases taxes for working class people. It lowers taxes massively for the wealthy and people like Donald Trump. And I think the challenge is there's no process to get Democratic participation in it. It's a partisan process. They're looking for 51% on either side. It adds to the deficit. And I think the one thing is Ed Gillespie yesterday ran on a tax cut across the board, right? He campaigned on it, he did ads on it, and he lost. And suburban voters, where a lot of Republican House members are, suburban voters turned out against Ed Gillespie, even though that was his number one economic message. I don't know why Republican House members want to vote for a plan that is so unpopular with the people.
I don't know if they were voting against him because of his economic reform.
No, but it didn't help it.
It didn't help it. But let me ask you a question, David. Obviously, most middle-class people will see a tax cut under this, but not all of them will. I mean, what Vera just said, this weird little group, 20,000 to 40,000, they will see a tax increase. Shouldn't that just be fixed?
Well, this is the first shot, right? This is the House bill. The Senate, you heard what Senator Hatch said. This is a piece of legislation that you're going to have the president aligned on, the House and Senate. It's all in their best interest to pass this. They're going to have to come to some consensus to get this an agreement on. I think the president wants to see something perhaps different than the House. The Senate wants to see. They all want to see something different. They're going to have to get together. It's all in their best interest to have something accomplished, signed, to run on. That's what people need. They need something, an accomplishment, a victory here, and I think you're going to see it.
I just think Republicans don't vote for something that they don't think is a good idea, right? I mean, put forward a proposal that doesn't increase taxes on middle-class families.
So here's the thing. So Speaker Ryan has the exact opposite idea as people who say, maybe we need to rejigger this bill and make it more beneficial for the middle class. Here's Speaker Ryan saying that if anything, this puts more pressure on his party to deliver this bill as soon as possible. Take a listen.
It just emphasizes my reading of the current moment, which is we have a promise to keep. If anything, this just puts more pressure on making sure we follow through.
How much is this, Amanda, do you think about, not so much even this bill, but as much but about the fact that Republicans need to deliver something? They need to be able to go back to their voters and say, okay, Obamacare, the repeal and replace didn't work, and the wall isn't built, and et cetera, but this is a major piece of legislation. We did get this done.
Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of people went along with Trump and his victory, gave him the benefit of the doubt because they wanted to get things done. If they do not get things done and be able to point to legislative victories, they are forced to run on Trumpism, just as cultural conservative issues. Will that work for someone, mimicking Trump in a place like Tennessee, which it seems like Marsha Blackburn's doing for Kelly Ward in Arizona? Yeah, maybe, but in purple states and blue districts where they compete with moderate Dems, cultural Trumpism isn't going to work. They're going to need a lot more.
I don't know. Why don't you pass something that people want? This bill is already unpopular, right? This happened with healthcare. It's like, we just have to pass something. We just have to pass something, even though the American people don't like what you're passing. So here's an idea.
We want a simplified tax code, and we're losing the big picture here that it is going to be simpler. And yes, some people will see differences. Taxes will go up for certain groups, but by and large, middle class people are going to get a tax
People don't want a massive tax cut for the wealthy. So
people
don't do that.
Want to raise the
I don't necessarily know you can categorize this as a massive tax cut.
It is. The vast majority of it goes to wealthy people. The vast majority of 86% of this tax plan, the benefits go to the top 1%. Of course, that means it's very skewed to the wealthy.
To Amanda's point, there are a certain percentage of Americans pay taxes. Most of those people at the top end of the bracket, that's where the money comes from. Look, we can argue about facts today.
We're not arguing facts.
My point again is, though, there's an alignment of interest here, right? The Senate, the House, and the President all want to see tax reform. They want to see it passed. They want an accomplishment to hang their hats on. You can't go home and campaign if you're in the House. You can't go home and campaign in the Senate if you don't have an accomplishment. You're going to lose seats. Midterms are notoriously bad for the party in power. You need to have some accomplishments to run on. They need this.
I just don't understand why when you pass something super unpopular, you don't think that also hurts you.
Well, I think
I disagree. It's super unpopular. Thanks, one and all.